I have a couple hours this morning where I actually am home alone. So I thought it would be a great time to make a video. I have a few things I want to share with you guys. One is this Tilda tag that I made, and a couple other projects, and some product reviews. So this Tilda tag was made with the Sweet Christmas Tilda paper, and I saw a tag on Pinterest that had some hand crocheted trim. It actually had holes punched in it, and they had crocheted the trim through the holes. So I actually did that, but I slid the piece of paper in between this layer, and I have some pictures I'm going to put in here so you can see what I'm talking about. But it's really basic. The main thing was to have this trim sticking out the bottom, and just popped up one of the, I cut this out of the paper and just doubled up the paper. One of the products that I bought when I was in New York City is this Nori. It's called Perfect Paste, and so far I really like it. I used it just to adhere these little circles around the holes, and I'll show you the tip. It has like a little chisel tip, so you squeeze it and the glue comes out there, and it's a clear type glue. And what it reminds me of is the Yes paste, only in a softer form, a more liquid form, I guess. But it has, you have plenty of time to maneuver your paper around once you adhere it. So it is slow drying, but not too slow. Like when I put this on here, I did need to move it a little bit because I have an eyelet on the other side, and I wanted to make sure it was kind of covered up. So I was able to maneuver it around, just hold it for maybe 10 seconds, and then it stayed there. But you do have that play time. I'll let you guys know as I use it more, but so far I really like it. And the chisel tip allows you to put a really thin layer on smaller pieces. You could also just squeeze it out, put it on paper, and wipe it on. But so far I really like this. I think it was only $2.25 in the paper store I was at, but I'm sure that you can find it online. I've never seen it in like Michael's or AC Moore here. So I am going to go ahead and insert in here just a couple of pictures I took. I punched little holes and then just crocheted some trim on the bottom of that piece of paper, and then slid the paper in between underneath this little flap that I made for the sentiment. And these are some of the trims that I picked up in New York City, and I absolutely love them. I kind of thought that I was overbuying when I was there, but I'm using them like crazy. So that's my Tilda tag. So next I want to talk about this die. This is the Spiral Blossom die, and it cuts out beautifully. So I'll show you a couple different flowers I made with it and then talk about it a little bit. So this is just a postcard tag, and I put some paper on the back of it, and this is the little flower. It comes out very nice. It does have quite a bit of height to it, so one recommendation I have is to cut it out on double-sided paper if you're going to see the underneath side or ink it. Or I put a little bit of trim under here just to fill in a little bit of the space, and then the flowers, and added a little bit of lace and a pearl in the middle. So I really like how it came out on this card. And I'll talk about the die a little bit more in my next card. And then these little tiny flowers here, they're just really simple flowers, but I made them using these two dies. And this is, I make little flowers with this die all the time. I'm not sure who that is, but I know there's a lot of dies out there like this. But I picked up this one recently. It's the Recollections die. I think it was in the $1.50 bin. And you can't even really see it that much, but it makes a really nice center. There we go. It makes a really cute center for the flowers. And again, it's like not that noticeable, but I really like it in the center of the flowers. So I just wanted to share that because that's something they have in the stores right now. And this was this stamp was a piece of paper I had covered with some fabric. It's probably kind of hard to tell, but there's like a sheeny fabric over the top of that I had stamped on, and just used my Tim Holtz Movers and Shapers die to cut that out, and some more of the trims. So this next card was a little bit of a challenge for me. And I have two cards here. I'll show you both of them. This one I started out wanting to use this pink flower on something, and I wanted to do something very pink and non-vintagey, which is really challenging for me. So as you can see, it didn't work with this card. This card ended up coming out not super vintagey, but the bright pink flower just didn't end up going with the coloring and my paper choices. So this was just a card that I threw together. I did have a new embossing folder that I use. This is one of the Darcy embossing folders that has some paisley and flowers on it. So then I'm like, okay, I have to try harder to make something pink. And I do like the end result of this card. It did take me a little while. So first off, the flower, what I did a little bit differently was took one of my pairs of decorative scissors, and I went around when I cut out the flower, and instead of all these little round bumps, I just went around and nipped off the top of it all the way around. So it gave it a little bit different appearance, which I really, really like. I put a little bit of glossy medium on there and a little bit of glitter as well. The thing I didn't like is how high the flower is. So I added some crochet trim underneath, and then I added these leaves, and I'll talk about the leaves in a minute. And then I did go back and added this cream trim. So what I want to try and do, and there's nothing wrong with the height of it, I just feel like I have to do a lot of embellishing around it, but I do like the end result. Hey guys, as long as we're talking about this die, I wanted to show you a couple of other flowers I made with it and did just a little bit differently so you know how else you can use it. This flower here, I just cut out of pattern paper, and then I went around the bottom and cut off about 1/4 of an inch below the petals. And so, before I curl these up, I do take a paintbrush or something that's round and bend the leaves back, and then I roll it up. But this one came out, I really like it. It came out with a much lower profile than the original, so you don't feel like you have to do a ton of embellishing around it to kind of hide the bottom of it. So just another way of using that. And this one, I just put some enamel embossing powder around there, a little bit of ink, and then put this piece of lace trim just to try, finish it off a little bit. And then this one here I used, I had made some of this paper here out of a single sheet of a napkin and Mod Podge that to some paper towel, and this worked really well because it's so flexible. And I didn't trim this one, but I was able to bend the leaves really far back and kind of flatten it out more, so again it's not quite as tall as some of the other ones that I made. So, and I'm sure maybe I've done that with fabric as well, Mod Podge it to a paper towel. Anything that's flexible like that would probably work really well with this die. And then this one I really glittered up. I put some gesso and gloss medium on there, as well as a whole bunch of distressed glitter. So you can see how sparkly it is. I used this new stamp set by, it's new stamp set to me, it's a very old stamp set. It's from I think 2011, but I used this cute little girl here. I used this little flower here and the little flower inside of there. And I just stamped them with, remember it was the watering can color by Ranger Archival Inks. So I used that to stamp all of these, and I had these little, these are buttons. I believe I got it Hobby Lobby. And I just love this image. But what I did with the leaves, and this is, I hope you can tell, I painted, these were white leaves. I painted them with some pink paint, acrylic paint. And then I took her hair and stamped on the leaves. I gave it just this subtle little pattern on there. And then I sprayed it over the top of that with my Heidi Swap spray in white. And I really like the way that those came out and that they blend well with the card. And it's just a really subtle look, but you know, a different way of using this stamp. And let's see, everything else was just stamped and cut out and layered some trims. These cutouts here are some my favorite things, I believe, edge dies that I picked up recently for really, really cheap when I picked up some stamps recently. And when I first got them, I really didn't know how much I would use them, but I do really like them. And I got this idea off of Pinterest as far as the layering of the back of the card. And these are some hearts. Oh my goodness, I picked up when we were in Paris and a discount bin at a fabric store. And they are like the exact same colors as the hearts on this paper. So I thought that was cute, and just layered some trims. And I am going to do a tutorial on this flower. A couple people have asked me for that, so I will do that. I'm starting to have more time in my craft room, so I will do that shortly. And then just made a little pocket on the inside for that. And then the card got kind of heavy. I do have very heavy cardstock, but I ended up just throwing a piece on the back so that it would stand up a little bit nicer. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to mention is just another use for the Wink of Stella pen. Nothing major, but I do really like it. I have been using it just to edge. You can see I used it all around this little cutout here, but just to edge my paper, and it gives it a really nice finished, very, very subtle look, but just another way you can use your Wink of Stella pen. So that's all I have today, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.